my name is Melissa and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite book series. This was a little bit harder to do because I wanted to choose book series that are complete. The author has written every single book in the series and I have read every single book. So I'm not counting novellas for the most part. Some of these series I have read their novellas, but this was harder than I thought because I have started a lot of series. I have read a bunch of series, but not all of them were my favorite, or I haven't finished them, or the author hasn't finished writing them. So it took me a little while to compile this list, but I do have romance, fantasy, young adult, new adult, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. The very first series that I want to talk about is one I don't think I've mentioned at all on my channel, and that is the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I want to read Renegades, her other series that she has, but I haven't read it, but I really did enjoy the Lunar Chronicles. It took me a very long time to pick this series up because of, honestly, I just wasn't a fan of the cover. This just didn't appeal to me. I was not really interested in like this, but there was a lot of hype surrounding it. I had just started watching more booktube videos and kind of going back to the backlist videos of a bunch of young adult reader booktubers, and this came up a bunch of times. So I decided to give it a try. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the world. I do read a lot of fantasy, some sci-fi, but this was so much fun. I really enjoyed the take of Cinderella fairy tale, Red Riding Hood, and all that kind of stuff. What I really loved about this was each book is based on a different character and a different couple, and they are based on, retellings. This one is obviously Cinderella, but it has a twist on it because our Cinderella is she's half human and like half android. She has like mechanical body parts, things like that. And it was just so much fun. This series has amazing love interests. There are a bunch of fighting scenes, action, drama, all that good stuff, all wrapped up into a nice quartet. There is, I think, another novella in it, but I haven't read it because I just wasn't really interested in it. But I did enjoy the series so much. I'm not really sure which one my favorite is. Maybe everybody says that theirs is Winter. I really enjoyed Winter. It was really good, but I do think Cinder has to be my favorite. So to kind of keep in theme with the young adult fantasy sci-fi, the next series I want to talk about is the Heir of the Folk Trilogy. I really love Holly Black's writing, and especially in this series. Each of these books are fairly short, especially, for a fantasy book, but I feel like I wasn't ever too bored in them. I think the hardest part was getting through the first half of The Cruel Prince. I do have to say that this one was a little bit harder to get through, but I absolutely loved the second and third book as well. Second book has to be the strongest in my opinion, but this is a really popular YA fantasy series about Jude, who is a human, and when she's a little girl, she's kidnapped into the fairy realm by her half-sister's real father, who is Fae. So she has to kind of struggle growing up in this very cruel world where, Fae people, they can't lie, but they kind of do a little bit of wordplay, and that was really fun to read about and see, and how Jude kind of, is this like badass character and who is not very nice. She's not the most likable character out there, but it was a lot of fun to read from her perspective and see her kind of hate to love relationship with Cardan and her relationship with her sisters and all of that good stuff. This has a lot of court politics and closer to the end, a lot more action. I definitely enjoyed this a lot, and I want to do another reread through very soon. So to move into the new adult romance genre, one of my absolute favorites has to be the Fall Away series by Penelope Douglas. This was my first intro into her writing. I picked up Bully when I had a lot of time on my hands and just was kind of reading a lot of new adult books. I picked up Bully and absolutely adored it and continued on and finished, the novellas. I'm eagerly awaiting to read about the spin-off series, which will be about these characters' children. But to start it off, Bully is a bully romance novel. This is set in high school, but definitely has some mature themes going through them. So Bully is about Tate, who comes back from a year abroad, and she isn't going to take any more crap from Jared. Jared used to be her best friend growing up. They lived, on the same block. I think they're next door neighbors as well. But one day, Jared came back and he just didn't like her anymore. He would treat her very, very meanly. He would bully her, And so she comes back from her year abroad and is like, I'm not gonna take any more of this crap. So this is their story, Chait standing up for herself against Jared and their love story, and it's hate to love, bully, bad boy romance. There is car racing and just, oh my gosh, I freaking love this. So much drama, so much angst. If you love a good bully romance, definitely pick this up. I absolutely loved it. The other books as well are really great. You have Rival, which is a like step-brother, step-sister, forbidden romance, taboo romance, which is one that I really loved, and you know, so on and so forth. So I love each and every one of these books in the series. They're about a different couple, but the novellas kind of go back to Jared and Tate, and they're just so good. I love Penelope Douglas's writing. She includes a playlist for each and every one of her books, and they're online as well as I think in her books. Penelope Douglas also puts Pinterest boards for each of her books on Pinterest, on her Pinterest page, whatever that's called. And yeah, it definitely gives you that atmospheric, that aesthetic for each of her books, and I absolutely adore those so much. The Sinners of Saints series by L.J. Shin is one that I really did enjoy. I feel like there's been a bit of like controversy surrounding this author lately about the books that she's putting out and her writing, and just I've seen some things on Twitter that just haven't been the best. But despite all of that, if you remove the author from the writing, this first series is one of my favorites. I definitely have to say Vicious is still my all-time favorite, and then if I have to choose one from the spin-off, it would be Broken Night. So anyways, I definitely really enjoyed this series so much. Whenever they came out on Kindle Unlimited, I would just like eat them up and read them in like one day. I loved them that much. But Vicious, again, is another bully romance, new adult, and just so good. This is a dual timeline book where Amelia ends up getting bullied so much by Vicious when she is a teenager, and she ends up moving away to New York, where go to present day, you see Vicious and he's there to bring her back. So he's some hotshot lawyer and she's doing something or other, and yeah, basically I freaking love this book so much. I read it multiple times because I loved it that much. If you're looking for a good bully romance with a lot of angst, a lot of heart, and great friendships, definitely pick this one up and continue on with the series. It is so much fun. The final series that I want to talk about is an adult fantasy series, and that is of course Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn trilogy. I started The Final Empire in 2018, finished this series in 2019, absolutely adored it so much. This is a very unique magic system, and Brandon Sanderson really knows how to build worlds, and kind of like just from beginning to end, if you reread this series, you start noticing, you know, these little hints about things to come, and just ties everything so nicely at the very end of this trilogy. He really lays the groundwork at the beginning of this series to really understand this magic system, because it can be quite confusing. It's very different. Basically, these people can ingest metals, and these metals give them different powers depending on what it is. It could be like pushing and pulling and all this, I don't know. It's really hard to explain. But in the back there is like a little, you know, guide to explain what each of the metals does. There are mistings, and those people can only ingest one metal and get magical properties from it, and Mistborns can ingest all of the metals, and yeah, they can do extra special things because they can take all of it. So I absolutely adored this book. Each of the books in the series kind of builds upon itself, and the world just starts getting bigger and bigger. I do have the spin-off series, which is about totally different characters. It takes place 300 years after the series finishes, and I am very excited to continue on. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching my favorite series, or ones that I've actually finished, because there are a lot that I haven't. But if you have any thoughts or opinions, I would love to hear about it and chat about it in the comments down below. And I hope you have a great day and happy reading. Bye!